Little Christmas hangover. Too many treats, too much Christmas cheer, a lot of traveling, a lot of family fun, fantastic holiday. Santa was good to the Myers household. And Brendan, I don't know if you're there yet, but boy, when the adult gifts start changing, like when you're a kid, all you want is toys, right? I remember very much being a kid. All I wanted was toys. You talked about it before. All you wanted was video games, right? You're like, give me the video games. But when I was a kid, like action figures, toys, big wheels, all that stuff. All I want is toys. Then you grow up, you get to be middle school, high school age, and you're like, finally, like, I want some clothes. I want the cool clothes. I want the clothes that I've been asking for since the first day of school. And your mom or your dad, more often your mom, would be like, well, maybe Santa will bring it this year. So, all right. So then you wanted the clothes. Then college and beyond, it's like, just give me some gift cards. I am poor. Just give me the gift cards. I am poor. And then you get to the point where I am at, and you get the middle-aged gifts. And let me tell you, this is not a complaint. This is actually this is a celebration. It's a celebration. Because what did I get? Power tools and a new barbecue. What? Yeah. Middle-aged gifts, and they are, Brendan, they are the best. They got a lot of power tools, and I got a brand new barbecue. And I can't wait to fire that bad boy up. Justin, it's December. Doesn't matter. I shall be barbecuing this evening as soon as I get that bad boy set up. So, fun. This was, Brendan, from a sports standpoint, I can't remember like a Christmas holiday time period with so much sports that happened. Between bowl games, the NFL taking over 3 days. The NFL's just like, yeah, hey, I know normally we're just Sunday and Monday. Yeah, we're going to take over all the days. And then obviously you got all of the NBA on Christmas. Blazers played last night. Hey, nice win for the boys. Nice win for the boys. Needed that one. I thought and again, I'm going to try my best all season long. And it's going to be tough because we're not even to New Year's yet. I've been saying we're not even to Christmas yet. Well, we have moved past Christmas. We're not even to New Year's yet. But I'm going to try my best with this Blazer team to kind of live in the moment. But I see some things on the horizon. Remember last week? Talked about this with the Seahawks. And we'll get into the Seahawks, and we'll get into the Steelers, and we'll get into the Chiefs. Oh, boy. What happened to the Chiefs? Cautionary tale, by the way, going on with the Chiefs. And could maybe the Chiefs be showing, like, what is on the horizon for some of these teams that are paying their quarterbacks lots and lots of money? More on that in a bit. But I talked about it last week with the Seahawks, and I made the comparison to, like, the Hallmark movie, right? Where it's like, you got to suspend disbelief. Don't worry about what's going to happen the next day. The movie ends. It's everybody's happy and merry. Just live in the moment. Yeah, did the Seahawks still have some questions? They do. I saw the tweets, the X posts, whatever you want to call them. Geno came out of the gate struggling. Very prominent media members in Seattle who I work with, like, does Drew Lock need to come in the second half? Nope. Geno Smith's like, I got it. Don't worry about it. So with the Blazers this season, very much going to try to live in the moment. Be in the moment. Nice win. It's fun to see the ball go in the hoop. But I wonder if there are some questions out there on the horizon. Because they got a lot of guys that can dribble the ball. You know what I'm saying? They got a lot of guys that can dribble the ball. But a nice win for the Blazers last night. Brendan, I can't make heads or tails of the NBA. I think it's maybe one of my biggest frustrations with the league. It's also one of my biggest fascinations with the league. But I can't make heads or tails of the NBA. How is it Last week, the Blazers looked absolutely awful against the Washington Wizards. And how they could look absolutely terrible against a unbelievably shorthanded Utah Jazz team. Yet that same Blazer team can beat the Phoenix Suns. And then last night, blow out a playoff team in the Sacramento Kings. Like De'Aaron, what did he drop? 46 last night? But even with 46 points, Blazers dropped 130 on a playoff team, and you were without your starting center, and you were without one of your most dynamic players in Shaedon Sharpe. So no DA, no Shaedon Sharpe, no problem. Because, Brendan, we got Duop Reith. I'm going to have to learn how to pronounce his name correctly. I'm going to have to put some respect on old Duop Reith's name. He showed up ready to play day after Christmas. So I can't make heads or tails of this league. I can't figure it out. But the Blazers get a nice win. You'll take that. See, like, again, talking about living in the moment, being present, being 10 toes down. I don't want to get too excited every time Scoot has a good game. Do you know what I mean? But I think maybe it's like the Blazer Twitter. But Brendan, by the way, Merry Christmas. Hopefully you had a terrific holiday.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
A lot of Christmas cheer. We got a fun New Year coming up. How was it? How was the holiday? How did Santa do?
It was good. You know, I got lots of practical gifts, and I appreciate
practical gifts are the best.
So yeah,
isn't it the best?
Yeah, it was definitely solid. Yeah, a good Christmas.
I get this sense on Blazer Twitter, and maybe that's also the pulse of the fandom. I don't know, but like this fan base is ready to just go nuts for Scoot Henderson. And any time that kid has a good game, it's like, is this it? Is this going to be the beginning? It's like, well, actually, no. It's going to be some ups and downs. But last night, good night for Scoot. So what'd Scoot have last night? Come on, computer, load. There we go. So 17 points, but more importantly, 11 assists. So he goes for 17 and 11. He was a plus 21 in 28 minutes of action coming off the bench. And we want to be positive on this show, right? I'm still feeling like the holiday spirit inside of me. I want to be a positive guy on this show. But is Scoot Henderson going to play his way back into the starting lineup? Like, at some point, Scoot's going to continue to get better. We know what Anthony Simons is, which is really, really good at playing basketball. He's the Blazers' best player right now. He's their most consistent player. He dropped in 29 last night. So Anthony Simons, if you are serious about winning basketball games, and at some point this organization is going to have to get serious about winning basketball games. If you are, Anthony Simons is your best player. Clearly he's going to start. And it was kind of part of his deal a year ago that, like, remember the first tank and Anthony Simons was going to be a restricted free agent? And it was like, all right, we're going to get you this deal. We're going to put you into the starting lineup. Need you to have right knee soreness and sit down for a month. Now, I don't know if that was the exact phrasing, but it really felt like that was part of the deal. And that Anthony Simons, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be in the starting lineup, as he should. He should never be coming off the bench. He's too good of a player in the NBA. He's making too much money. It's an economic decision as much as a talent decision. So Ant's in the starting lineup. Can you run a backcourt with Ant and Scoot and have Shaedon coming off the bench? But there were points this year where you're like, oh boy, when you see Anthony Simons and Shaedon Sharpe when both healthy in the backcourt, like, Call me crazy, but that's the Blazers' best backcourt. It gives you some length. You're not undersized for the first time in, 9 years? Not running a three-guard lineup? But how long do you keep Scuba Henderson on the bench? Or maybe with the amount of injuries that this team is probably going to have to deal with the rest of the season, because like I said, there is not a player on this team that is going to allowed to be uncomfortable. Uncomfortable, minor discomfort, sit down. Take a week. We're going to be okay. But it is going to be an interesting decision, because at some point, that number 3 overall pick, I don't know if he can be your sixth man. I don't know. But you know what? Why worry about that now? You know? Why worry about that now? Let's just be. The Kings are awful at defense. Players got to look at that schedule, Brendan, and just be like, I am so pumped we are playing the Kings right now. And no offense to the entire Reith family, but the fact that Duop Reith came off the bench and dropped 25 on you, that's a mess defensively. So the Blazers get a nice win. A lot of NFL to dive into. Do we have a new best team in the NFL right now? Are the Baltimore Ravens the best team in the NFL right now? Are the Kansas City Chiefs cooked? Do you have any faith in the Chiefs heading into the postseason, even though that's still Patrick Mahomes over there? And boy, you have got a lot of teams with 8 wins right now. There's a lot of teams with 8 wins. Seahawks get a nice win. They stay alive. But the big weekend that was in the NFL, we'll dive into our tier system. Also, did the Beavs find themselves a quarterback over the weekend as well? So the Beavs got to transfer a quarterback. Would be nice if he could play in the bowl game. At some point, I know they're never going to do it. At some point, can we just make transfer portal players available for the bowl games? They're going to have to fix something with these bowl games. Brendan, you know me. You know that I love not just Oregon. I love all college football. We talk about it a ton. I can't watch some of these bowl games. There's nobody playing in the games. But the Beavs got a bowl game on Friday. Oregon's got a game on Monday. We got transfer portal news all over the place. But we're going to talk the NFL weekend that was. That's next here on 620 Rip City Radio. between Christmas Eve or Sunday, the 23rd, the Saturday games, Sunday games, Monday games, NFL took over the weekend. NFL took over the weekend, and I'm sure it's a smidge of recency bias, but I can't remember a time where the NFL had so much stuff to talk about. There is so let me bullet point them real quick, right? Brendan's closer to being the age where he actually wrote college papers. But at the beginning you had to outline, right? Let's outline it real quick. If I could run through what I think are significant NFL storylines from part of this week, but just kind of what has been going on the last couple of weeks. And then we will debate and discuss and dive in depth a little bit more. Are the Baltimore Ravens the best team in the NFL right now? Obviously, they have the best record. They're 12-3. Lamar Jackson is playing at an MVP level. With that win over the 49ers on Monday, might have locked up the MVP for Lamar Jackson. So you got Baltimore Ravens. Not to be outdone, upcoming this week, who do the Baltimore Ravens play? The 11-4 Dolphins. And if the Dolphins get a win, are the Dolphins the best team in the NFL? Because they just beat the Cowboys. The Cleveland Browns are 10-5 with Joe Flacco as their quarterback. Let me just remind everybody what I just said, because I don't know if a lot of people have noticed this. The Cleveland Browns are 10-5 with Joe Flacco as their quarterback. The Buffalo Bills have won 4 of their last 5, including a win at the Chiefs, including a win against the Cowboys, at the Chargers by 2 points. You'll take it. But the Buffalo Bills look like they're a team that nobody wants to be playing right now.
I know it was a long time ago, Justin. 11 years to be exact. But I think people forget that Joe Flacco did win a Super Bowl.
He did. Bet on himself. Got himself a very nice payday. Beyonce turned out the lights in the Superdome.
That was a crazy Super Bowl.
Harbaugh Bowl.
I know,
that
right?
was Harbaugh Bowl.
It was. The lights going out.
Think about Joe Flacco, the quarterback that won that bowl game. Colin Kaepernick was the quarterback opposing him. I think it's been pretty well publicized. Colin Kaepernick's NFL career. People maybe talked about it once or twice. I don't know. But yeah. Of all the things going on right now, are the Kansas City Chiefs cooked? Of the 8-7 teams, Colts, Texans, Steelers, Bengals, are any of those teams potentially dangerous coming into the postseason? That's just in the AFC. NFC. Oh, did the Ravens put the blueprint on how to beat the 49ers? Is the clock struck midnight on Brock Purdy? Has his carriage turned into a pumpkin? Or maybe he ran into a wagon and just had a bad day. It's been known to happen. But 49ers and Eagles, both sitting at 11-4, not feeling all that easy after these last couple of weeks. So is Brock Purdy a liability for the 49ers? That's a storyline. I don't think he is, but that's a storyline. Dan Campbell's got the Detroit Lions winning the division. The guy that 2 years ago, I was there, Brendan was there, you all were there. You might not have had microphones, but you were all there. The guy we were all making fun of 2 years ago. Because how could you? I want him biting kneecaps. What is this? Who did they hire? That guy. He's got the Lions 11-4. Won the division. Dan Campbell. Dallas Cowboys are 10-5 right now. And statistically, Dak Prescott is the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm not saying he is the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm saying statistically, he is Dak and Lamar right now. Dak has more passing yards. He has more passing yards per game. He's got 11 more touchdown passes. They both have the same amount of interceptions. He has a higher QB rating. He has a higher QBR, which I don't know. Do you know the difference between rating and QBR? I don't. But I know.
It's different at every level.
Yeah. Well, either way, both metrics, Dak Prescott's better, and he's got a higher completion percentage. Dak Prescott's the best quarterback statistically in the NFL right now. And then you've got the Rams, the Seahawks, the Vikings, the Falcons, the Packers, the Saints, all just kind of hanging around. Just kind of hanging around. We haven't even gotten into, did Antonio Pierce earn himself a head coaching job with the win against the Chiefs? The race for the bottom? Are the Carolina Panthers going to screw around and maybe win a couple of games down the stretch? They got the Seahawks. And maybe lose that number one pick for the Chicago Bears, right? So we got a lot of stuff to dive into. I think right now in the NFL, the most fascinating story is the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are the most fascinating story in the NFL because, the Chiefs in their last 6 games, they're 2-4. Their only wins is a win against the Raiders and then a win against the Patriots. Now, the Patriots obviously stink. They beat the Raiders, but then obviously just lost to them over the weekend. So they lost at home to the Raiders, lost at home to the Bills, lost on the road to the Packers, who are below 500. And then they had the loss to the Eagles. Are the Kansas City Chiefs cooked? Are the Kansas City Chiefs a cautionary tale of what happens when maybe you pay your quarterback $1 gajillion? And all of a sudden, they still have Travis Kelce, but you can't afford to pay Tyreek Hill anymore. Instead, you get Kadarius Toney, who can't line up on sides.
See, I think it's deeper than that.
You think it's deeper than that? Let's go. Let's dive deep. This is what we're doing here.
Yeah, I really think this is all about who's their. Is it not Chandler of their defensive player who held
Chris
out?
Jones.
So
isn't it Chris Jones?
Yes, yeah. Thank you. So Chris Jones makes what Tyreek Hill would have made. I don't think I would have chose defense for a team that needs to surround Mahomes with, the top weapons. And I think back to, Tom Brady. And the Patriots figured it out, Justin. And the Chiefs, they tried last year when they had Juju and some other receivers in Kelce, and it worked. Just enough, right?
Just enough.
Now they take away Juju. You replace him with Kadarius Toney, who, again, should be in the XFL here soon. But
it's almost gotten to the point where, I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
I almost feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
But then again, listen, you get paid a lot of money. That money comes with responsibilities. Some of those responsibilities are you're a receiver. You have 2 jobs. 1, formation. 2, ball hits you in the hands, you catch it.
Right.
That's your job, and I know you get paid a lot of money for those responsibilities.
Right. And I know we've talked a lot about old Bill Belichick, a lot less positively than we did 3-4 years ago. But Justin, despite all the turnover, New England was the team that's hey, we got a 4th-year defensive stud. Yeah, we're not going to pay him. We'll cut him so we can get a draft pick, right? And then that draft pick's on a fixed salary. But if you look at, and I think Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes have to be simpatico here for how long those guys' careers are going to last. Justin, what did Tom Brady always have in New England? He always had Gronk. Should have had this other tight end, too, for quite a while.
Another
but
tight end.
We're not going to talk about him.
He had
not going to talk about him.
Some off-the-field problems, I believe?
Yeah, a little bit. And then, apparently maybe played a whole season while those off-field problems. So
unbelievable.
Nuts. But then it was always one of Wes Welker, Julian Edelman with that tight end. And then it was the
Danny Woodhead.
The Chris Hogans, the Philip Dorsetts that were clutch in the playoffs for them. So I think Kansas City's going to regret not. It'd be like, let me put it in a way, Justin. It'd be like here in a year, Joe Burrow and the Bengals being like, yeah, Jamar Chase, we really want to turn that into a defensive player. And that's where I think you ran the risk getting rid of, Justin, right now, we've talked about this all year. Maybe Justin Jefferson, when he's healthy, is there a bigger cheat code in the NFL than Tyreek Hill? Not all receivers are created equal, and Tyreek Hill is worth every flippin' penny. Anyway, that's my rant on that.
That's good. By the way, we've been talking about the Chiefs this entire time. You know who we haven't mentioned? There's one specific name that we're not talking about either. We're talking about Tyreek Hill leaving. We're talking about having to Juju Smith-Schuster. We're talking having to replace guys on the offense, and that's still Patrick Mahomes. By the way, the Chiefs are in a bit of a lull right now. They're in a funk right now. They're still going to make the playoffs. They're still 9-6. They're still a team nobody wants to come up against. We haven't talked about Eric Bieniemy not being there anymore. And remember the word on Eric Bieniemy,
I forgot about that,
which was probably inaccurate, which was, he's the offensive coordinator, but Andy Reid's calling the plays. Like, what do you think he's doing? Like, I love these guys that I spew a lot of hot takes from my couch and from this radio studio. But you know what I don't do is try to undermine what coaches do. Like, Eric Bieniemy's there, but Andy Reid's calling the plays. It's like, what do you think Eric Bieniemy does all day? What do you think? Like, when he was there, do you think he just sat back, drinking coffee, watching like Office reruns on on Peacock streaming, or sitting there watching old Seinfelds on Netflix, going like, all right, I'm getting paid a 6-figure salary, maybe a 7-figure salary as an offensive coordinator. What do you think he does all day? Like that. And the fact that he had to leave the Andy Reid umbrella so that people will maybe potentially look at him as an offensive coordinator who they could one day hire as a head coach. And as we've talked about on this show multiple times, like, the head coaching hire is the biggest inaccurate science, it's the biggest crapshoot in all of sports. You never know what you're going to get when a guy goes from the spot next to you to the spot on the sidelines that everybody's looking at. And you can't, and nobody's figured it out, because we all laughed at the Dan Campbell hire, and we all celebrate. 2 years ago, Brandon Staley was the hottest name in the NFL. Remember when he had that speech about physicality, and like everybody's like, what a hire. This guy.
We really wanted to.
Figured out the numbers, and Brandon Staley was the guy. And Dan Campbell was a joke. And it's like, where are we at now? Yeah, going back to that, Justin, I think we can just go back and you look at that draft, and we've talked about that draft ad nauseum, right? That COVID draft and so on and so forth. You go back to that season, and I looked at this too the other day because I immediately saw that apparently Brandon Staley very likely to end up in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell, who he worked with. And they'll stand next to each other, and nobody will be able to tell them apart.
Not wrong. Again, Justin, we go back to like the whole experience aspect of it. And we'll see, what ultimately happens. And I'm not saying that a guy hasn't been a coordinator for a year, but when you look back and you're like, yeah, he coordinated a Rams defense that had Jalen Ramsey.
That guy's really good.
In his prime. Aaron Donald in his prime.
Boom.
And I say this because this is 3-4 years ago now. And that was a COVID 2020 Rams defense that was elite, Justin. But, we learned there are some things that you couldn't necessarily take for church in that stretch of time football-wise. There were some trends that made no sense. There were some hires that made no sense. There were some draft picks that made no sense. So I think all of it's a part of it. But, man, I didn't think we'd be sitting here going, the Chiefs, like, Justin, I was watching that game. That was the one that was on during Christmas Day.
Yeah, that was Christmas morning.
It's all blurring.
Yeah, it was Christmas morning.
And it was something like the Chiefs had won 21 of 22 of the last games with the Raiders. And you're like, oh. Well, that's the Raiders. I get that.
But it's the same thing they had with the Broncos, right? Didn't they won 17 straight with the Broncos? Or I don't know if it's 17, but it was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
I remember that.
And now we sit here, but like you said, it becomes an economic thing, right? It becomes an economic thing. Tom Brady for years and years and years, and I don't know if he'd be able to do it anymore, right? he signed team-friendly deals for years. How many millions of dollars did Tom Brady leave on the table football-wise? Now, he made it up on the back end. Don't get me wrong. Like, the 100 or some million that Fox is going to pay him next year to be abroad, like, he made it up on the back end. But years and years and years, he signed team-friendly deals.
They say roughly between 60 and 100 million that he let go.
He left on the table.
Yep.
And listen,
now his wife,
nobody should.
His wife was making good money, Justin. That
was the other thing.
That's a big part of it. Like, maybe more than him for quite some time. Maybe still. I don't know.
But he's going to make up for it, though, on the back end because, legacy and everything. He is Tom Brady. How much did he lose in that FTX thing? Anyways.
Probably a fair amount.
But, and I'm wondering, much like kind of looking out on the horizon, right? And you're like, oh, boy. Like you can, like the meteorologists, like they can forecast. They're like, all right, this is hitting Seattle and it's coming for us, and then it's going to hit you. Like, this whole thing is on its way. I wonder, these teams, and look, every player should make as much money as they are worth. And I'm not saying that anybody should ever be criticized for taking the money that teams want to pay them. And I know the salary cap is ultimately going to change and everything else, but I just wonder if there's some of these teams that are like, we're paying these quarterbacks an awful lot of money, and then you look at the Chiefs, and they're not able to keep certain guys around, and all of a sudden now, look who's in the driver's seat in the AFC right now. Jacksonville, who's what? Now they're 8-7, but Trevor Lawrence still on a rookie deal, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's still on his rookie deal. He's like year 3. So
his extension will be coming soon, though.
So his extension's coming, but they're still on a rookie deal.
I don't think there'll be extensions for Zach Wilson or Trey Lance, though.
Cleveland's 10-5. Now they're still paying their quarterback a ton. That rent's going to come due at some point a little bit later, but they're doing that with Joe Flacco right now. I don't know. I just wonder, like the Chiefs were the first, right? Didn't they gave Mahomes like that $50 million deal. And it was like, oh boy, look at these salaries. And it's like, I wonder if the forecast coming down is like, which is why the NFL as an entity, the NFL as a competitive league, it's why you can't ever beat it. The rent always comes due in the league. Unless, like you said, unless you get a Tom Brady who's just like, yeah, I'll leave about $80 million on the table. Can we go and sign guys?
I mean, it may never happen again.
I don't even think Tom Brady could do it again. The pressure would be too high.
He just did it so quietly. Like, we didn't find out about it till like week 6. It's like, oh yeah, he left this much.
So I'm seeing like Burrow, Herbert.
What would you say if, say, the Chiefs,
like, and Deshaun Watson, and like all these big money quarterbacks, weapons are going to be dwindling down.
Right. It's someone like Deshaun Watson. No, I don't think he'd ever give a penny of that back. It's ego, right?
Yeah.
But like, would it be the craziest thing in the world? Say the Chiefs flame out, Justin. They make the playoffs, but as a wild card team,
bounce in the first round. Yeah.
Is Mahomes enough of and we love to talk about this, enough of a legacy chaser?
Mm-hmm.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, maybe someone else is, but Mahomes has the best chance to be the next Tom Brady.
Yes.
And catch his rings. I only say you only, but you only need 5 more. I mean,
well, yeah.
But
in the league right now,
so
there may be other all-time greats.
Sure.
He's the only one right now.
So would you, if you're Patrick Mahomes, do you think winning matters to him enough where he'd be like, shoot, guys, I'll give up some millions, restructure this. We need to get back to winning. Or is he like figure it out, guys?
Yeah.
I'm your best dude. Like,
this is what I am.
I am
worth.
Patrick Mahomes. Like, I have 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very good question. Also, these guys all talk to each other. All these players are going to be like, no. You don't restructure because you restructure, and I'm not even talking about other quarterbacks. Like, if you restructure and then all of a sudden, who's like the highest paid, like TJ Watt's gonna be like, then guess what? Then they're gonna ask me to restructure. And then like Myles Garrett, they're gonna ask me to restructure. It's like, I ain't restructuring jack. So I don't know. But right now it looks like the Ravens are the best team. And again, we talked about it. Who we talked about it with? Frank Schwab last week. How silly do these teams look? You could have had Lamar Jackson. Could have had Lamar Jackson. How again, the disrespect. Now, we'll see what happens in the postseason. Lamar Jackson, incredible career, one postseason win, right? Incredible career, one postseason win. I do think that is a thing on quarterbacks. That is a fair criticism, I believe, right? Wins and losses always in the season, maybe not, but in the postseason, I do think that is fair. But I think there are a lot of GMs going like, talking to owners. The owners like, hey, wait, were we in that whole thing? Talking to the no, we weren't. That was the Atlanta Falcons probably going like, could have had Lamar potentially, maybe. All right, we're gonna shift gears. We're gonna go on campus. We got some bowl games coming up, some transfer portal news. So college football news and notes as we go on campus next. 620 Rip City Radio. up, like, obviously the tough part of moving forward in college football. But it's very weird to watch these bowl games and think like, oh, Utah losing Northwestern. That's going to hurt the Oh, wait, it doesn't matter. Conference. Doesn't. Not at all. Because for years and years and years, it was the only thing that mattered for these lower tier bowl games. It was the only thing that mattered is if, like, if, Oregon State beat Florida. That was good for the Pac-12 a year ago. It was good for the Oregon beating North Carolina. The more wins you got in these bowl games, the more perception you would get that your conference has strength moving forward. And it did have an actual real trickle-down effect. And we've seen it in years where the Pac-12 was terrible in bowl games. And it's like, the Pac-12 struggling in bowl games. And then nobody's ranked in the top 15 heading into the next year, which those rankings do matter. And now it's like, well, there's an expanded playoff. Conference is kaput. And so I'm watching Utah Northwestern, and it's like, oh yeah, this doesn't matter for the conference at all. But there were bowl games that were played. There are bowl games to be played. There were transfer portal things going on and lots to debate and discuss. It is time to go on campus. Brendan, crazy idea that I thought of over the weekend. How long before this happens? Because I don't think it's going to be too far off. If we continue to have these bowl games, right? If they expand the playoff and everybody's like, hey, ESPN and CBS is like, hey, we're still making money off these bowl games. The fact that they've got silly names like the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Guaranteed Rate's still cutting that check. Somebody's still getting paid by Guaranteed Rate. So we continue to have these bowl games, and you are seeing these opt-outs. What was it I saw at the last count? Florida State, who, by the way, got absolutely jobbed by the playoff committee. They're playing Georgia. If they win, they could make a claim for a national title. Brendan, 20 players opting out. 20 players from Florida State opting out. These players are opting out left and right. And I see what's going on with Oregon State. And I see what Trent Bray did. He was hired. He's the head coach, and he's like, I got to rebuild a team. We don't have opt-outs. We got a mass exodus. I got to rebuild a team. I don't have time to game plan against Notre Dame right now, and I don't even know who's playing for Notre Dame. How long before we see a head coach opt out of a bowl game? How long till we see a guy let's just say.
I mean, didn't Trent Bray technically?
That's what I'm saying, but he was a newly hired coach, and there's going to be teams who have and that's happened before, right? I think Rich Rodriguez, when he left West Virginia to take over at Michigan, he was a newly hired coach, but he was like, I'm not going to take over truly until after the bowl game because he's going to start recruiting. If Michigan State wasn't a bowl game, right? Obviously, Jonathan Smith is like, I gotta recruit. How long before a coach is like, all right, we are in the Holiday Bowl, right? If you're Lincoln Riley, how long before we see a coach like Lincoln Riley go, all right, we're in the Holiday Bowl, Caleb Williams isn't playing, we're losing, we're getting commits flipping left and right. Guys, I can't game plan this thing. We're going to name an interim bowl coach like you would name a coach for spring ball, and I'm going to go out and hit the trail and I'm going to recruit. How long before that happens? You think that happens next year? Maybe in 2 years?
Yeah, I think it could happen anytime.
I was just thinking about that this weekend. I'm watching PJ Fleck for Minnesota on the sidelines, going up against Bowling Green, and I'm like, why is he even there? Like, those guys should be out, transfer portaling. Obviously, if you're in the playoff, if you're in a major bowl game, that's one thing. But, I don't know. If we're going to continue to have these bowl games and we're going to keep playing these games with the funny names, Pop-Tart Bowl, by the way, have you seen the Pop-Tart Bowl trophy? That's awesome. It's a toaster. You toast or untoast your Pop-Tarts?
Toast them, but I don't have Pop-Tarts too often.
That's right. Pop-Tarts were not in the slaughter house growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I would eat them if someone bought them, but I don't think they're in the house right now.
I was an untoasted guy.
Oh.
Maple brown sugar, untoasted, in the backpack, out the door. But yeah, I was just. These players are opting out, left and right, and like, all right, so like Damian Martinez, is he technically an opt-out? Because most of the opt-outs are guys that are leaving or going to the NFL, right? Damian Martinez is coming back next year for Oregon State. He's not playing in the bowl game. Now, part of it was, an incident. But are we going to see guys start doing that? Like, hey, I am a sophomore. By my junior year, I'm a top pick. I got to play in those games. I ain't playing in the Sun Bowl.
Yeah, there's certainly a piece to that, without a doubt.
And then who was the tight end from Michigan? The guy that tore his ACL. Who, like, that's the cautionary tale.
Was it? It wasn't the Vikings tight end this weekend, right?
No. He is out of the league. Jake Butt. Remember Jake Butt? The guy from Michigan? Yeah. Tore his ACL. Went from projected second rounder to late fifth. And also that injury continued, all to play in a bowl game.
Good point. He was taken fifth round. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. He was projected second round.
That's not.
Tore his ACL. Gets picked fifth. Just takes one. Quickly, because we got about, 30 seconds. Beeb's got a quarterback. Tell me about this guy, the kid from Tacoma, from Missouri.
Yeah, Gabari Johnson, the pride of Tacoma, Washington, man.
Let's go Tacoma.
Nice pickup, former four-star, Rivals top 250 quarterback or player and quarterback. Yeah, definitely gonna. They restocked the talent in a good way.
Needed that.
In the
Needed
last
at least a quarterback competition. Needed that guy.
And then big time recruit. Arguably Justin, Oregon State's biggest high school recruit in 11 years. So that.
Yeah, wide receiver out of Newport Beach?
Yeah, Jordan Anderson. So four-star and the second best receiver in the state of California.
I wonder if he was a guy, because he was committed to Oregon, and then obviously Oregon hit the portal. And just there's going to be a lot of guys like that who are we're four-star, top 100 player in California. It's yeah, but are you a 2-year starter that's in the transfer portal? No. So, sorry. You're going to have to find somewhere else to go. All right, coming up next, we got Make or Miss. It is also Worldwide Wednesday. We got to talk more NFL. This Joe Flacco story is fascinating to me. I got a big what if in the NFL. That's next, 620 Rip City Radio.
From the Goldberg-Jones Sports Desk, your 620 Rip City Radio headlines. Goldberg-Jones. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.
It is 7 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. Justin Myers with you. The Portland Trailblazers take down the Sacramento Kings last night, 130-113 at Moda Center. Anthony Simons led the way for the Blazers with 29 points, while backup center Drew Reed added in 25 points and 9 boards off the bench. 17-11 for Scoot Henderson, also coming off the bench last night. Elsewhere in the NBA, the Detroit Pistons have set an NBA record 27 consecutive losses when rebuilds go bad. Speaking of losses, tough loss for the Minnesota Vikings, who are still very much in the wild card hunt, but tight end TJ Hawkinson will miss the remainder of the season with a torn ACL and MCL. Oregon touchdown in Phoenix, getting ready to take on Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl. Tyson Alger will be joining us in the third hour from the I-5 corridor. But we got to make her miss. We've got a Worldwide Wednesday. Fascinating NFL story. Hour 2 of RCM starts right now at 620 Rip City Radio.
The home of the OSAA is 620 Rip City Radio. It's RCM with Justin Myers, right here on your home of the Portland Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
All right, in 20 minutes, we've got Make or Miss. In about 40 minutes, we're going to take a look around the internet. Maybe you heard of it. Part of Worldwide Wednesday. Obviously, we did a whole slew of NFL storylines. We hinted at this, but Brennan, let's go into the land of make-believe, right? You're not old enough to remember Mr. Rogers. I'm sure you understand the reference of Mr. Rogers, but he was... Old Fred Rogers was long retired when you were watching Sesame Street, I'm assuming. But Mr. Rogers, he would come in. I don't know where he used to work, but he would come in from a long, hard day at work, take off his jacket, put on his comfortable sweater, because, you know, you got to put on a cozy cardigan, change out his shoes, and he would talk to us kids, and we would go to the land of make-believe. There was Lady Elaine there. There was King Friday. Land of make-believe was great. So in the NFL land of make-believe, now keep in mind, I don't want this to happen. I do not want this to happen. But Cleveland Browns have won 3 games in a row. They beat the Jaguars, they beat the Bears, they beat the Texans, and they've won those games with one Joe Flacco coming off the couch and playing quarterback. Right? They had Deshaun Watson. He got hurt. DTR, I think he got hurt, and then they're like, look, our defense is too good to be wasting this season. There's a lot of planning for the future going on in the NFL, but if you have a chance to make the playoffs, you got a shot to win the Super Bowl. And so Joe Flacco, from what I heard over the weekend, it sounds like he was calling everybody. Right? He called the New York Jets, but I don't know if he's calling them at halftime when Aaron Rodgers went down, but that week, Joe Flacco was like, hey, guys, I'm in shape. I could do it. And the Jets are like, we've seen the Joe Flacco show. Thanks, but no thanks. But we're moving on and moving forward. I guess he called the Vikings when Kirk Cousins went down. And the guys, I'm in shape. I'm throwing the ball all over the place. I know I still got to drop the kids off at elementary school and stuff, but I'm in good shape. And Minnesota Vikings are like, no thanks, Joe. We've seen the Joe Flacco show. All the way up until finally the Cleveland Browns are like, all right, fine, get Flacco in here. And ho-hum, Joe Flacco has come off the couch, and he has got the Cleveland Browns sitting at 10-5. Now, Baltimore's likely going to win the division, but the Cleveland Browns, I believe, are 1 win away. And are they playing Thursday? They're 1 win away. Yeah. They're playing tomorrow night against the Jets. They win it. They clinch a spot in the postseason. Joe Flacco, off the couch. Now, here's the land of make-believe. Brendan, what happens if Joe Flacco wins the Super Bowl? And I know it seems a bit ridiculous, but they're 10-5. They beat the Jets, who are starting Trevor Siemian tomorrow. They're going to be 11-5. They got the Bengals, and feels like the Cinderella run of Jake Browning went down in flames to the mighty Pittsburgh Steelers. What? They could be 12-5. 12-5 going into the postseason. They got maybe the best defensive player in football in Myles Garrett. I would say it's T.J. Watt, but you know what? I'm a little bit biased. They got a monster of a dude, Myles Garrett. They got weapons all over the place. And they got a quarterback in Joe Flacco that's like, yeah, I've been here 1,000 times. I know how to pick up first downs. Not going to do anything special. Not going to be like Lamar Jackson. Not going to be like Patrick Mahomes. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get the ball out quickly. I'm going to find some open guys. And I'm going to give you a shot. Now, we're all well aware of the Cleveland Browns' past. Never won a Super Bowl. Never won a Super Bowl. Kind of a laughing stock of a franchise the last couple of years. What happens if Joe Flacco does it again? Because remember, they were ready to write him off in Baltimore. That last year, Joe Flacco went into that last year. You mentioned it 11 years ago. The Ravens were like, this guy's done. We might be moving on from this. This is his last year. And then Joe Flacco went and won the Super Bowl, and the Ravens were like, all right, well, we got to pay him now. Extended his career about 5 or 6 more years because of that one. What if he does it again? What if Joe Flacco wins the Super Bowl?
He could. I'm not saying he won't, but I'd be
just
surprised.
live in the land of make-believe, yeah. Because, Brendan, they're going to be favored their next 2 games.
Will they be favored over the Bengals on the road?
It's a good question.
Maybe not, but close.
If the Bengals are, well, and again, this is the best part of the NFL, the way they've structured their the whole salary structure. Usually you're like, oh, well, season's over, right? They have nothing to play for. You know whose season was over this weekend? New England Patriots. New England Patriots season is over. New England Patriots fans want them to lose so that they can draft a quarterback because they're tired of Mac Jones. Did you see what the New England Patriots did? Yeah, they beat the Broncos in Denver. Oops. Because you can't tank the end of the year away in the NFL. You can have a bad team on the field, but like all those defensive linemen that were sacking Russell Wilson this weekend for the New England Patriots were like, yeah, you guys may be looking for a new quarterback. I'm playing for my job. So, yeah, you're right. The Bengals may have something to say. And also, look, the Jets have got good players on defense, but imagine if Cleveland is 12-5. Joe Flacco and momentum. They will have won their last 5 games. Okay, what if they win the AFC? Not win the Super Bowl, but what if old Joe Flacco, and he takes the Browns to the big dance where they have never been. Cleveland Browns never won a Super Bowl. They've never been to the Super Bowl. Like, there has never been a Super Bowl field with the Browns' boring orange helmet painted on that field. It's never happened. Could you imagine if that's Joe Flacco takes you there? And then because the NFL is a copycat league, are there going to be teams next year going like, all right, who else is on the couch? Is there a bunch of talent that we're overlooking? And we're playing guys like Easton Stick and poor Easton Stick. He's just my go-to of like backups you never heard of. But we're playing Trevor Siemian, Zach Wilson, Easton Stick. Like, what's RG3 doing? He keeps saying he's in shape. He raced a Seahawk over the weekend. Like, what's RG3 doing? Can we get him back in this league? Who else is out on the couch? I mean, obviously there's one particular guy.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, there's Carson Wentz. He's on the couch. Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan took a year off, healed up his ankle, because remember he was like taped from foot to knee with the Colts last year. Is Matt Ryan going to get a call? I don't know.
He is the same age as Flacco, so that's interesting.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I was racking my brain. We've never seen anything like this. We've seen backups, guys who were on the roster. But Brendan, Thanksgiving, Joe Flacco was having Thanksgiving dinner with his family. And then went and worked out probably and threw the football around. His turkey bowl was a little bit different than yours and mine, right? He was out there, like, no, hey, Uncle Joe, will you quit throwing the ball so hard? I can't. The Cleveland Browns might call, okay? He comes off the couch, and he's winning NFL games. How insane is that? So I was just wondering, like, what happens to Deshaun Watson? Obviously, that money is all guaranteed, so probably nothing happens to Deshaun Watson. But, man, what happens if Joe Flacco wins the Super Bowl for the Cleveland Browns? Team that's never even been to the Super Bowl. Now, I don't want it to happen because I hate the Cleveland Browns. Another big thing over the weekend, real quick. Seattle Seahawks got a nice win. Just when everybody was ready, and again, that's why I love this league. They had lost 5 in a row. Rams, Niners, Cowboys, Niners, or 4 in a row, excuse me. They lost 5 of 6. Only win, made a 3-point win against the Commanders. Pete Carroll's lost the locker room, right? They got quarterback problems. We were talking with Brady Henderson, like, are they going to go quarterback shopping? They're going to have to figure it out by about February. Jamal Adams is, they're sending him home. They're like, hey, Jamal, yeah, you are terrible at playing NFL football right now. Not only are you not going to play, but we'd like you to not come to the games. Like, and there was, like, the whole thing, like, has Pete Carroll lost the luck? Drew Lock comes in, drops a dime to Jackson Smith and Jigba, keeps him alive. Then they go on the road, and Geno does it again. Final series, come from behind win. They get him against the Titans, and now all the Seahawks got to do is beat Mason Rudolph this weekend, which, by the way, is going to be a tough task because it seems like old Mason Rudolph has figured some things out. And the thing he figured out is throw it to George Pickens, and that's all you need to do. But yeah, how about Pete Carroll and the Seahawks? Just like, nope, we're not dead yet. We're perfectly fine. All right, coming up, we have got Make or Miss. We've also got a Worldwide Wednesday. Before we get to all that, hopefully you all had a terrific Christmas. Hopefully they got everything you wanted on your Christmas list. But maybe something that's also on your Christmas list you've been thinking about for a while is maybe some home improvement. Well, I'm here to tell you about the good folks at DeBella, right? They are the official home improvement partner of the Portland Timbers. And I don't know if your neighborhood was like mine. A little windy last night. Got a little breezy last night. And if you were a little nervous about your roof, well, DeBella is the place to call because they can get you a free quote on a new roof, whether it is leaking or aging. If you're a little bit nervous with that wind hitting last night, they can also help you with your windows, your sidings, your bath projects. All that stuff can save you up to 30% on your energy bills. That's right. Roofing, windows, siding renovations, DeBella can take care of all of it. Plus, they have got a great offer right now. 0 down, no payments until 2025. That's on approved credit. 0 down, no payments until 2025 on approved credit for all your roofing, siding, windows, or bath renovations. 15,000 5-star reviews. So it's not just me telling you how good they are. It's not them telling you how good they are. It is their customers that are telling you how good they are with 15,000 5-star reviews on Google for their excellent work. Visit DeBella, DABELLA.us for your free, no obligation appointment, and they can make updating your home so easy. DeBella, they're the official home improvement partner of the Portland Timbers. I-5 corridor. Obviously, Oregon has touched down in Phoenix. We know Bo Nix is going to play. We know that Bucky Irving is going to be playing. Who else will potentially be playing for the Oregon Ducks? And about how many snaps do you think old Bo Nix is this going to be like a reverse NFL preseason, right? You're just like, NFL preseason is like, hey, we're gonna go watch a Chiefs game. Mahomes is gonna play about 2 series. Is this gonna be like, hey, if Bo Nix comes in and goes like 5 for 5 first series, touchdown, but does he just walk it off? Does he say, hey, thanks for the memories, Oregon. One last time, I have thrown a touchdown. It will be my final pass as an Oregon Duck will be a touchdown, and I shall walk it off. Now, here's the thing. I should probably know this. If Bo doesn't play like the second half of the bowl game, I don't know who the quarterback is. I should know who the quarterback is. But I don't know who it would be because Ty Thompson's he's portaling. Is he going to go to Washington State? Is that what it sounds like? So. Because what happened to the thing with the Beavs? That cooled down a little bit?
It fizzled pretty quick.
Yeah. If he ends up at Washington State, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I could see that. I really could.
But, yeah, can you, real quick, you look up the Oregon depth chart. If Bo Nix plays like a quarter and a half, which is what I think is going to happen, play about a quarter and a half, throw a couple of touchdowns, one more run with the boys.
Austin Novosad?
Yeah, that's it. That guy. I remember him from recruiting, signing day a year ago. We get Novosad in there. Let's go. Let's do it. I don't think he's portaling. I think he might still be there. So we'll talk to Tyson Alger coming up in an hour from now. We are going to search the internet high and low. We got to find some interesting stories for a Worldwide Wednesday, but it is time. First time since last Friday, because we've been off for a handful of days. It is time for Make or Miss. Here we go. still in it. Team's going to fight. And we're going to sneak our way in. You think they make or miss your own question? You think they make or miss the playoffs? Steelers and Cardinals. But you know what I mean? Like, that's the only way to sell Oregon State right now. It's like, hey, don't know when we're playing Air Force, right? But we don't have a conference. Call it Look, on this particular program, we try to stay focused in on the place we live, right? We talk about being in the moment, 10 toes down, and we are 10 toes down right here in the Portland metro area, in the great state of Oregon, in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. But every once in a while, you got to expand your horizons. You got to look across this big old country and around this big old globe. But, you know, sometimes when you take a trip around the world, like old Ferdinand Magellan did, even though he didn't make it all the way, but he came close, you end up right back home. Right where you left. So sometimes when we do a Worldwide Wednesday search internet high and low, sometimes it's something in our own backyard that is fascinating or interesting for us to talk about. And that is the case today as we open up Worldwide Wednesday.
We searched far and wide, and we found the most random story you never heard. It's Worldwide Wednesday on RCM.
You hear it all the time, right? See something, say something. See something, say something. Don't just assume somebody else is going to take care of it. You take care of it. And somebody saw something, and boy, did they say something, in the great city of McMinnville. Been to McMinnville lately? Beautiful.
Grandma lives out there. One of them. So yeah.
Grandma Slaughter?
No, mom's mom.
Okay. By the way, Grandma Slaughter eggnog hit.
Nice.
It was a hit. I whipped up a batch of eggnog. Put a little Christmas cheer in there, you know what I'm saying?
She'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah. So give her a big thumbs up. But turns out the McMinnville Police Department, they got a call. They said, "Hey, I got it. Something suspicious is going on." And something that appeared to be a hand grenade. And this item was spotted near middle school. And so obviously it's like, all right, this is not good, right? We got kids, even though I don't know when this went down, but we got a hand grenade in the middle of McMinnville. We got to get this figured out. So call up McMinnville PD, and they're like, we don't have a bomb squad. We're McMinnville PD. We got a lot of important stuff to do. Don't get a lot of bombs. We don't have bomb squad. State police, like, we got a bomb squad. Here we go. So here comes OSP and the bomb squad, and they've got a drone because it's like, you going near that thing? I ain't going near that. Throw the robot out there. So here comes the drone, and there's a picture of what the drone spotted, and I will say, if this picture is accurate, it certainly looks like a hand grenade. Turns out it wasn't. It was a dog waste bag dispenser. That was, and I don't know why they would put it in the shape of a hand grenade, but apparently it was.
Yeah, this is pretty obvious, Justin.
But like, you see obviously the picture shows like there's a bright blue dog waste, but that looks way too close to a hand grenade, though. If you would see that from like afar. So as it turns out, no harm, no foul. It was just somebody had a hand grenade shaped dog waste bag dispenser. Why
are you getting that if you're for dog waste?
That's my question. First off, why is it made? Like, why are we making it? Like, I have a dog poo bag dispenser too. It's just it looks like a little fire hydrant.
Okay, the fact that you can buy this on eBay in many different ways, Justin, well, you can still buy it.
But I've seen them, and I've had them where it looks like a fire hydrant. Now, that makes sense,
I have that one.
Because you get fire. What is fire hydrant known for? Other than you don't park in front of it, it's known for, that's a little dog toilet right there. Hand grenade? I'm sure there's some joke with bombs or something. I don't know. But yeah, but this did remind me, like, you grew up in a very, in a good way, a very safe toy environment. Your toys that were maybe weapons were like bright orange. You know what I mean? When I saw this, it reminded me of I can't believe the toy weapons that we were allowed to have back in the 80s that were not colored orange. Some of them had like a little orange, like a cap gun. Did you ever have a cap gun?
I sure did.
Ooh, yeah. So we had cap guns, and let me tell you, they did not resemble toys.
They were fun.
Um,
They looked like real pistols.
yeah. Some of them had a little orange
Tip.
thing at the end. But like, for the most part, it looked and it acted like, and it was like, who thought this was a good idea? And then at some point they're like, yeah, these cap guns, yeah, people are using them for the wrong reasons. We need to make them bright orange. All right. Did you have there were two kinds of cap guns. There was the 6-shooter, right, that had like that cap, and then there was the one that was like a spool almost. And then like the paper would come out the back.
Yeah, I prefer the spool. You could have more.
Yeah, you fire off more rounds of caps. But
whenever we went over to our family's ranch as kids, like I always had to get a new cap gun on the way. Like that was just, it was, everyone else was going hunting. I had my cap gun.
yeah,
Lot of cap guns. Lot of cap guns.
we had cap guns. And then also the other thing you could get at like every carnival or fair or something was, it was a comb, but it was meant to look like a switchblade. Yeah. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And of course, I went to the Melon Festival in Winston. Shout out to the Winston Melon Festival. And it's like, like they have like all those like every booth you could think of, and they're just they go from carnival to carnival, just selling their stuff. And I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. And I bought it. I don't think Mom was too happy about that. I came home with a comb that looked like a switchblade. And I'm like, look, and it would like spring up there too. I'm like, look, and she's like, what? Where did you get that? It's like, at the Melon Festival. It's like, yeah, you're not taking that anywhere. That looks very much like a Switchblades were real big in the 80s. They kind of Switchblades and Doberman Pinschers. Big deal in the 80s, not so much anymore. But yeah, the Switchblade comb. Very big deal. All right. Also, brass knuckles. Brass knuckles, a switchblade, and a Doberman Pinscher. You were a bad guy in a movie if you had that kind of stuff. All right, we've got a whole third hour coming up. Blazers get a win last night. Blazers also have a pretty big couple of games coming up on the schedule. Who from the San Antonio Spurs will be playing in those games? Will it be their big, tall French guy? Not so fast, my friend. We'll talk about that next. 620 Rip City Radio.
From the Goldberg-Jones Sports Desk, your 620 Rip City Radio headlines. Goldberg-Jones. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.
It is 8 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. Justin Myers with you. Blazers get the win last night. They take down the Sacramento Kings 130-113 at Moda Center. Anthony Simons led the way for Portland with 29 points. Backup center Drew Reith added 25 points and 9 boards. The Detroit Pistons set an NBA record, and it's not one they are going to want. 27 consecutive losses for the Detroit Pistons. The Minnesota Vikings will be without tight end TJ Hawkinson for the remainder of the season. He is out with a torn ACL and MCL as the Vikings are looking to sneak into one of the wild card spots. And coming up in 20 minutes, Tyson Alger is going to be joining the program. We have got an RCM mailbag, and the Blazers get back in action tomorrow night. Back-to-back games against the San Antonio Spurs. Will big French guy be playing? Well, talk about how much is enough. Hour number 3 of RCM starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio.
The home of the OSAA is 620 Rip City Radio. The most transparent show in Portland is Rip City Mornings with Justin Myers. Here on 620 Rip City Radio.
All right, yesterday, obviously, we had off. A chance to hang out with family and friends on this holiday season. Monday, we had off as well. And while I appreciate a good day off, I also get a little bit sad because, you know, we don't get to do Get Off My Lawn. And I thought we had a great slew of Get Off My Lawns all throughout December, a holiday version of Get Off My Lawn. But now I'm going to do a little sports version of Get Off My Lawn. Because normally Tuesday is the grumpiest day of the week. Maybe this week it might be Wednesday. I don't know. Because we get the big holiday weekend and, you know, maybe you had a little too much holiday cheer. Maybe if you are a parent, you know, the visa bill showed up and maybe you're just a little bit grumpy today. Maybe you're like me and you have a looming appointment that you really don't want to do. Oh, it's awful. But all that being said, I got a little bit of a grumpy old man rant because the Blazers coming off of a win. They're 8-21. It has been a tough stretch for the Blazers in the month of December. Blazers got 2 wins in the month. Now, what's amazing is that one of those wins is against the Phoenix Suns, and another is the win they had last night. Not just a win, but a blowout victory over Sacramento when De'Aaron Fox was going off for like 46. And the Blazers were without DeAndre Ayton, and they were without Shaedon Sharpe, and they still found a way to not only beat the Kings, but beat the tar out of the Kings. So, month of December has been a rough go for the Blazers, and they will wrap up the month with back-to-back games tomorrow and Friday against the San Antonio Spurs and that big, tall French guy, Wembanyama. So, he got the big matchup, right? Not since they had a G League matchup with Scoot Henderson's G League Ignite team and then whatever European team that Wembanyama was on last year when they had that big matchup. Now you got these 2 marquee rookies coming in. Is this the future of the league? Maybe. Who knows? But they're going to be going toe-to-toe. Back-to-back nights, right? Maybe not. Because it turns out San Antonio, as we have known forever, the team that invented load management and has embraced load management is, doing what the Spurs do. So Wembanyama was asked, hey, Pop said you're not going to be playing. And he had a very interesting answer with regard to him being asked if he's going to be available for both games against the Blazers. Here's Victor Wembanyama on the eve of the back-to-back matchups against the Blazers.
We communicate a lot with the medical staff, and I want them. I made it clear that I want them to sit me out. I'm going to trust them if they want me to sit out, but only if I really need to, because if they force me to, pretty much. But if it was up to me, I'd play every day, of course. But I respect my role, the professionals. I'm professional. Try to do my job as best as I can. But of course, if it was up to me, I'd play every game.
He wants to play. Wemby says back-to-back games. That's nothing. I want to play. I came to the NBA to play NBA games. It's like, I'll listen to what the medical staff has to say. And if they want, I thought it was interesting. Now, again, you never know kind of like what is lost in translation and what is common, just common language with you and me, as opposed to maybe somebody who's learning English is maybe his third language. Who knows? But it's like, yeah, if they're going to force me out, fine. I'll sit out if they force me out. But I want to play. Is it so hard, grumpy old man rant, is it so hard to have basketball players play basketball? I understand that.
Yes and no.
I mean, that's just, it seems like if you're injured, fine, right? How did we get to a point where on asking 19-year, like these guys when they play AAU, and maybe not Wembanyama, because obviously the European system is a little bit different, but these guys when they play AAU, these guys are 14, 15, 16 years old. They're playing like 3 games a day. They're like 3 games a day. They get to the NBA, they can't play back-to-back nights. And again, as a guy who's a fan of the Blazers and is well aware of the cost of big man injuries, right? Big man injuries not lost on this fan base. But how did we get to this point in the NBA where a rookie who is seemingly healthy, even though he needs to watch a step around the security personnel. Did you see the Mavs security guy almost took Wemby out for the year? Like, yeah, we want to keep our head on a swivel, boys. But how did we get to this point? And I guess maybe it's a Sacramento thing. I don't know. And they've been saying from the beginning that they're gonna obviously be overly cautious with Wembanyama. But this is a massive problem in the NBA that they don't want to admit. NBA used to own Christmas. NFL put 3 games on Christmas, destroyed them in the ratings. I love the NBA. I like watching the NBA, but they got destroyed on Christmas in the ratings because they can't compete with the NFL. And there's a lot of reasons for that, right? This is not a simple spewing. There's a lot of reasons, but the NFL is massively dominating the NBA in terms of fan interest, ratings, revenue, everything. And one of the reasons why, not the sole reason, but one of the reasons why is because NFL players play. Now, 17 games versus 82 regular season, I got it. I realize the difference there. I can do the math as well. But one of the reasons why the NFL dominates, because even like the New England Patriots stink. All right? The Patriots are not good. But if you were a Patriot fan and you tuned in to that game against the Broncos, you saw a team out there trying their best, playing hard. They are mathematically eliminated. Now, I don't know how many New England Patriots fans wanted them to win that game. Maybe they wanted a chance at Drake May. I don't know. But it was a palatable game you could watch. And I think Adam Silver has done a fairly good job. That whole in-season tournament, not quite sure what that's about. But for the most part, I think Adam Silver, being a players commissioner, which was kind of needed, has done a pretty good job. This is, I think, one of the league's biggest failures. It really is. It is one of the league's biggest failures. Which is, and if it's not Wembanyama, it's a dozen other people tune in to Spurs games to watch that 7'4" French guy play. That's why. No offense, couldn't name another Spur. Brendan, who's another Spur?
Tim Duncan?
No, I'm saying active.
Oh, now?
Yeah.
Keldon Johnson.
Boom. Yeah, couldn't name him.
Sorry, I thought you were looking for the all-time. Sorry, apologies. Tim Duncan has not played in a while.
He hasn't played in a while. But you know what I mean? Like, nobody's watching the Spurs for anybody else other than Wembanyama.
Not wrong. Nope.
Just like nobody's watching the Lakers for anybody other than LeBron and AD. Right? Like, that's you you watch these teams for the superstars. And I get that at some point, right, the championship is the most important thing. And if these medical staff people are like, load management is the way to win a championship, and if everybody else is doing it, fine. Spurs aren't winning a championship this year. They're not going to go to the playoffs this year. And if you're Adam Silver and you got to be sitting there looking at the ratings from Christmas Day, a day that you dominated for it, like college football gets New Year's Day, right? NBA gets Christmas Day. You dominate. It's your day. Most of the reason why is because after presents and coffee and breakfast, it's like, all right, what are we going to do as a family? Let's put on the NBA. That's fine. And you got absolutely dominated by the NFL on what was supposed to be kind of your Black Friday. This is when you get all, like, we know that October basketball is not the best. But Christmas, this is the NBA's holiday. We got the cool shoes. They set up the matchups. NFL came in, dominated Christmas Day. Like 20-some million viewers for the NFL. I saw in the last 15 years, there's been one NBA game that's gotten more people to watch it than the Chiefs-Raiders game. And there's a lot of factors for that. But you can't tell me one of the factors isn't that, yeah. Because I don't know if the guys that I want to watch, unless I'm watching my team, we watch the Blazers to watch the Blazers. Regardless of who's playing, we watch the Blazers. But if I tune in and the Spurs are playing and Wembanyama's out, all right, next. I can find something else to watch. It is one of the league's biggest problems. The league is unbelievably good at its worldwide brand. The fact that the NBA is a global league. I mean, the best players, the MVPs, international superstars. From Giannis to Jokic to Luka to Embiid, international. But at some point, this league's going to have to figure out either cut out 15 games of the regular season. And I know they added in the clause, but kid's saying he wants to play. He said, yeah, I'd play every game if I could. Play every game if I wanted to. Medical staffs keep me out. I respect them, which, again, kind of have to say. But take a look at the ratings from Monday in the NFL, where you have to be drug off the field versus NBA. Getting crushed. A lot of reasons why, but that's a big one. Tyson Alger is going to be joining the show coming up next. We do have also an RCM mailbag before. We do get to all that. Do want to tell you about the good people at DeBella. That's right. Maybe you got a lot of fun stuff for Christmas. Maybe you got a lot of stuff you needed for Christmas, but maybe still sitting on that Christmas list is some home improvement. Well, DeBella, they're the official home improvement partner of the Portland Timbers. Or maybe you're getting that bill, that credit card bill, and you're like, oh, boy, went a little excessive on Christmas this year. Well, what if you could save maybe up to 30% on your energy bill to help out with some of those monthly payments? Well, DeBella can take care of that with roofing, windows, siding renovations can save you up to 30% on your energy bill. Plus, they've got an amazing finance opportunity. 0 down and no payments until 2025. That's right, till 2025. That's on approved credit, 0 down, no payments until 2025. DeBellas can help you with your windows, your sidings, your bathroom projects, and maybe, like me, last night, you're like, it's a little windy out there. How's your roof holding up? If you're a little bit nervous about that, maybe it's time to take a look at your roof. Maybe if it's leaking or just aging, they can get you a free quote right now, and they are the best in the business. And it's not just me. Over 15,000 5-star reviews on Google for their excellent work at DeBella. So go to DeBella, DABELLA.US right now for your free, no obligation appointment. And they can make updating your home so easy. DeBella, the official home improvement partner of the Portland Timbers. All right, both Oregon State with a couple of bowl games. Beavs will be taking on Notre Dame in the Sun Bowl coming up on Friday. Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl taking on Liberty. Who's going to be playing in the game? Doesn't even matter who's going to be playing in the game. Fascinating bowl season so far. Joining us now, friend of the program from the I-5 corridor, Tyson Alger back on the big show. Good morning, Tyson. How we doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How are you? How was your Christmas?
Christmas was fantastic. I got a bunch of middle-aged dude gifts, which is awesome because I am a middle-aged dude. I have fully embraced it. So, yeah, a lot of power tools and new barbecue. Very pumped. Very pumped.
Yeah, I'm sitting here in my new slippers, and I'm over the moon about it. So I'm right there with you, pal.
Just anything that can like add comfort or convenience to your life is like that's like the growing up gifts that just keep on giving. You know what I mean?
Well, and my wife got me a Seattle Kraken Winter Classic jersey, and when I was a kid, so she got me the one that's like made out of like the t-shirt material, where like when I was a kid, I would have been upset about this because it's not the official version that's going to like scratch and chafe you like the real thing will. But instead, I'm again over the moon about this one because it's the most comfortable thing I think I've ever worn, and so I don't think that I'm going to be changing out of the slippers or the jersey anytime soon.
Yeah, but that Winter Classic, man. That's a big deal. I have a handful of friends up in Seattle, and they're pretty penny to go up to that you don't call it a ball game, obviously play with a puck, but head to that game, a little pretty penny. Looks like people in Seattle are pumped up.
Yeah, I surprisingly though, the prices have come down a little bit from when they first announced it last year. So if Alger and Myers want to go take a road trip,
hey now,
we could produce some content for the radio station. I'm sure they'd love to pay for it.
Well, here's the thing, Tyson. I don't know if my lovely wife's listening, who also got me, as I mentioned, a very nice new barbecue. My Washington Husky alum wife will be watching a game that I don't know if I'm going to be too pumped to be watching. So maybe it's time, Maybe just January 1. Let's just get out of town.
I think you should just do some sort of live stream during that game. We won't mention that team. And it's just kind of like talking through it with Justin.
Yeah, exactly. I will probably be banished to the other room. I think I'll make it maybe half a quarter. All right. There is another game that's going to be played bright and early, 10 a.m. in Phoenix. The Oregon Ducks are going to be playing against the Liberty Flames. We know Bo Nix is going to play. You hinted at it last week, and I think it's probably pretty smart. Like, is this going to be like the Bo Nix version of like the NFL preseason, where like he comes in, gets a couple of series, waves goodbye to the fans, and then we see like the Novosad era maybe take over?
Yeah, I think having Nix there adds some name value to the game. Obviously, I think if he is playing close to his ability, maybe we'll see him lead a couple. I don't expect Liberty to be great, Justin, and maybe I'm overlooking them, but I think that the plan should probably be for Bo to come in and score a touchdown or two, and then move on to the Austin Novosad, because that kid. Especially deserves some playing time because he's going to have about 13 new guys in his quarterback room next year. And, as Landing said this week, this is definitely a bowl game that is important for the development of younger players for their kind of future and just to see what they have. And with some of the opt-outs that they've had out with, I just think it makes sense. I know a lot of people are going to want to see Bo, but also we don't need to see that much Bo, right? Like we kind of know what he does at this point, and I think it'd be kind of fun to watch what Austin has in his bag. But it's such a different atmosphere than it was even 10 years ago, because the Fiesta, New Year's Six bowl games used to be something, and now it's just kind of turned into don't sleep in or else you might miss it.
And we're going to talk about kind of the status of bowl games coming up in a moment, but I want to get back to Liberty real quick because, Tyson, I've been trying. I've been racking my brain, and I've been trying, and I have, I've seen some things in college football, right? I remember App State, Michigan. I remember Boise State, Oklahoma. I remember Utah, Alabama, not that long ago in the Sugar Bowl, and so even Tulane over USC last year, right? And I've been racking my brain, and I'm like, all right, got to be careful. And then I look at like the fact that Liberty has opt-outs. I mean, tells you some things right there. Like, you're playing a top 10 team in the Fiesta Bowl, and you're Liberty, and you're opting out. So Liberty has opt-outs, and then you look at like their strength of schedule. It's like the worst strength of schedule of any team that's ever played in a New Year's Six Bowl. I've tried to talk myself into the hey, you never know. I can't get there. Maybe I'm an arrogant Oregon fan. I can't get there, Tyson. I don't see it. This could be bad.
Yeah, it's. I've been struggling with that too, and as of now, I'm not upset that the corridor didn't spring for the Phoenix travel extravaganza. But yeah, it's just I still think that maybe Rob Mullins upset somebody in the college football playoff board meetings years ago or something, because the fact that Oregon was 9 points away from being, this season they were 6 points away from being undefeated. They were 3 points away from being in the Pac-12, in the playoff again. The fact that it goes from Heisman frontrunner, guy on the billboard and all this to Liberty, and I'm sure Liberty's going to come out and play hard, and they've read all the news clippings and all those sorts of things, but also it's Liberty and this is Oregon, and it's I'm glad I'm not having to sell tickets for it, man. I apologize. I'm doing a poor job here.
No, you're not, because I've been watching these bowl games all the time, and it's like the bowl games aren't having a good December, Tyson. Let's just be honest. Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor joining us, which brings me to the next topic, because what's going to happen? Like, what's going to happen to bowl games, right? Because it already was kind of not a joke, but it was kind of a thing. We convinced ourselves that these games were important, knowing full well that they weren't. And then Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette a couple of years ago was like, yeah, we're not playing in the Sun Bowl. I'm going to get drafted like number 3 overall. We're not gonna do that. And then all of a sudden it kind of snowballed. 12 teams in a playoff next year. Like, what happens to the Meineke Car Care Bowl? You know what I mean? Or the Guaranteed Rate Bowl? If you kind of look into the I-5 corridor crystal ball predictions, like 3-4 years in the future, what's going to be going on with bowl games?
Man, I don't know, because as much as I just railed against how meaningless that this Fiesta Bowl feels, like I'd still, if there's bowl games on, I'm still watching them on my TV, and I very much enjoy that part of December, that part of that week after Christmas, where it feels like you shouldn't be working, but you probably should. I enjoy all that, but I don't know how that filters down especially with the expanded 12-team playoff. I don't think you should slap bowl game titles on those things. I think that should be its own separate entity, and maybe you save the quirkiness and zaniness of the bowl games for if they ever kind of really do separate kind of the SEC Big Ten Power 5 teams away from the rest of college football. Maybe you save that for the Mountain West and the Oregon States and the Washington States and let them have the fun. There's so much money that is wrapped up into those games, and I'm sure all of them are seeing the writing on the wall too, of just like there's a big wall that we're all about to hit. Like, it'll be fascinating going forward, because I don't think it's tenable at this current rate. Like, I as much as I do like watching these games, I do think that there's some value into them being decent games, or at least games that people care about. And if everyone's opting out and it just kind of turns into a glorified spring game, we'll see where that takes us.
Well, and because it is interesting, and like nothing is I think predictable in the future of the next couple of years of college football, as we have all learned over the last couple of years, because it used to be what Dan Lanning is saying. And obviously he's saying all the right things, right? This is a big opportunity for the young guys. And coaches used to love the bowl games because you would get 6 extra weeks of practice. And there's nothing that college football coaches love more than practice, right? The more, the merrier. The more practices we can do, the better. And it was always, this is going to be a time to develop some of the guys that maybe were kind of on the sidelines during the season, but those guys are all transferring, Tyson. And then all your other guys that are seniors, they're all opting out. And it's just, I don't know, it's just going to be interesting moving forward. I brought up this, like, I can see a scenario where a coach opts out. It's like, hey, defensive line coach is going to coach the bowl game. I'm going recruiting in December. And then I'll see you guys in the new year.
Look, we booked a cruise 3 years ago. I didn't know I'd be here. It's non-refundable. I'm gonna go. It's just the Rose Bowl. Nobody cares about the Rose Bowl, right?
I mean, it's and the other scenario. Well, we're just brainstorming here, right? No umbrellas in a brainstorm. All ideas are valid. There's no bad ideas. I think with this with the college football expanded playoff, not my favorite thing, but I understand why people get excited about it. It is that do or die, single elimination stuff that we love in sports. That's going to make a gajillion dollars. I wonder if then all of a sudden there's going to be like a college football NIT. You know what I mean? Instead of having the Meineke Car Care Bowl and the Gasparilla Bowl, we're just like, let's just take all those other teams and then we'll make like a college football version of the NIT. Like, I can see that happening too.
I don't hate that. That's kind of the mold of what the Oregon high school playoffs has turned into, right? With the Cascade Cup,
yeah,
whatever they call it. Here's another one. You take the what is it going to be, six first round playoff games. Each one of those are like the headliner of a concert. And before those, you have like two openers.
Oh, there you go.
Play games at the same stadium, so it's just kind of like you have two lower level bowl games that like set up for Oregon versus Washington in the first round of the playoffs.
I mean, look at us. I mean, these ideas are free, folks. Right? Putting them out in the universe for free. Or as I talked about with the, I didn't talk about it much because I'm all for the kids having opportunities and playing, but sometimes if you finish in like sixth place, maybe it's just time to turn in your gear and move on. I'm just saying. That's just maybe the postseason's not for everybody, and maybe like in college football, Tyson, if you finish 7-5, maybe it's time to just have the banquet and let's just move on to next year. Yeah,
because 7 wins. It's pretty easy to win in college football. I think we've all established that.
I mean, it depends on who you schedule. Tyson Alger joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. Oregon State's going to be facing Notre Dame in the Sun Bowl. Obviously, I kind of hinted at coaches opting out. Trent Bray did take that route, which is not unheard of, right? New coaches coming in, especially with what the situation that Oregon State's been in, but kind of solidified it a little bit. I know there was some panic in Corvallis because there were only about 10 high school signees, but got another guy, transfer portal quarterback from Missouri. And we talked about it earlier in the show, Tyson. Like, I think that the right guy for Oregon State was Trent Bray because clearly he loves Oregon State, and that's going to be the only type of guy that's going to get them through this. But right now, it looked like 2 weeks ago, very sinking ship. Trent Bray, I think, has done a pretty good job through the signing day and now through the portal a little bit.
Yeah, honestly, it's been pretty impressive because I would love to be a fly on the wall for what their pitch is, and that's not even to degrade what their pitch is. I just don't know what it is. But I think that's just like a really positive reinforcement of the decisions that they've been making. Obviously, they'd like to put a feather on this what has been a really successful season for them with a win over Notre Dame. But obviously, the task at hand right now is to make sure that this thing doesn't just completely go off the deep end next year. And I think to get a little bit of momentum on the recruiting trail with a coach who's able to sell kind of, we know what Oregon State's faults are, but that's a university that now has a coach that's going to be able to sell, I'm the guy who stayed, I'm genuine, this is the program. I think they are going to be able to go after a certain mold of individual that wants to be a part of that. And I think just getting a little bit of positive reinforcement there going into the new year is a really nice extra Christmas gift for the Beavers there.
Tyson Alger from the I-5 Corridor joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. Tyson, one of the things that you did and the Corridor did collaborative effort. But the corridor did throughout the football season because football is the dominant sport with regard to conference realignment, but it doesn't mean that they are the only ones affected by this. Obviously, college basketball, after this Pac-12 season, the conference of Lou Alcindor, then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, is going to be kaput. It is going away, as crazy as that sounds. And I love Pac-12, Pac-10 basketball. And you guys, you did the, the fond farewell, right? The goodbye note, the kind of the breakup letter in football. And now that conference play in basketball is going to be starting this week, I'm wondering maybe we could do it on this program, like the fond farewell to some certain teams. Oregon facing USC, and I know you covered Oregon basketball in depth, a handful of years ago to the Final Four run. But again, basketball now dealing with the fond farewells of USC and UCLA coming to Eugene for the last time.
Yeah, and I have some just really great memories from my career, like just selfishly and personally, like around those two teams. One, I always loved covering the men's basketball games down in LA. I think I got 3 driving violation tickets trying to pull into USC's basketball arena for the first time. I'm from Alaska. I don't know how to drive on the freeway. I was like 22. I probably shouldn't have even been renting a car. But it was, that's something that sticks with you. But then if you want to be serious, the UCLA Dylan Brooks buzzer beater when UCLA was number 2 in the country. I think that was up there with the best moments that I've ever covered in sports, and that was cool for me at the time too, because that was the most kind of in depth I think I had covered a team to that point, and to be able to kind of be in one of the few moments that Matt Knight arenas truly had. I mean, obviously there's been some fantastic teams that have played there, but everyone compares to Matt Cord and everything, but that was a night that the atmosphere wasn't wanting for anything, and so it's kind of bittersweet that they'll still be playing these two teams in the Big Ten, but just the kind of the proximity in the Pac-12 and just kind of having the balance of the history and everything that's there. It's going to be a bittersweet weekend. But I would love to talk some hoops and sing goodbye to the Pac-12 every Wednesday at 8:20 a.m.
Perfect. Oh, that sounds good. Oregon 8-3 had got some nice wins. Got a nice win against Michigan. Tough loss against Santa Clara. I love Jackson Shelstad. I love that kid. Hopefully not putting too much pressure on him, but this it feels like, and again, on the limited amount I've actually been watching, because I'll be perfectly honest, but this about Dana Altman. If he likes his team, it's usually good news. If he doesn't like its team, it's usually palpable by about February. Feels like he kind of likes this team.
It feels like he likes this team, and I'll raise my hand. I've been a lot more critical of Altman's work the last few years, because I do think that they had appeared to plateau at times, and obviously they're 8-3. It's not like they're in the top 25 right now, but I do think that he's responded with, this has been one of his better non-conference coaching efforts, I think, in his career here. I mean, they're not dominant, but I mean, he's piecemealing together a lineup every week. I mean, they've had Nate Biddle out, they've had Mookie Cook out, they've had N'Faly Dante out, and we both know Dana enough to know that he's not the type of guy who wants to just give the ball to his 5-star freshman who's coming, freshman point guard, and say go win this game for me. But obviously he's developed that rapport with Jackson Shelstad. And they're still in it. They've won a lot of games that we would have given them excuses for losing, considering their lineup. And they haven't gone out and completely derailed their at-large bid for an NCAA tournament. And it's not like they're entering this USC game going we're going to have to win the Pac-12.
Yeah.
I think he's done a really, really, really good job of holding this thing together until the injured guys come back.
Tyson Alger, you can follow him on X or Twitter, whatever way you want to call it, at Tyson Alger. You need to be subscribed to the I-5 Corridor, and you can hear him on this particular radio show each and every Wednesday. Tyson, hey, thanks so much. Appreciate the time. Glad you had a great holiday. Have a terrific New Year with the Winter Classic and the Fiesta Bowl. I mean, doesn't get any better with Liberty and then hockey in a baseball stadium.
Just Liberty and ginger ale to start the new year, baby.
Yeah, he's always bringing it back, and I love it. That's a deep cut for the real ones right there. Hey, Tyson, have a great New Year. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, Happy New Year, buddy. Thank you.
All right, there we go. Tyson Alger, boys and girls. We have got the RCM mailbag to wrap up the big show next, 620 Rip City Radio.
Time for the
No.
Fentress.
Nope. Nope. Not Aaron Fentress. I love that guy. But no, there was a tweet that I'm like, and not that I don't want to poo-poo Mrs. Myers' Hallmark movies, but maybe ones that everybody listening is aware of.
So we did a little mini movie marathon. We watched Christmas Vacation.
Good one.
I think Home Alone 2 was in there because my wife likes Home Alone 2 more than Home Alone, which I very much disagree with.
Ooh, spicy take.
We watched. Tell me about it. And then threw on Elf.
Elf's great.
forgot how funny Elf is.
It's great.
I forgot how funny Elf is. Christmas Vacation, I know how funny it is, and like stuff still makes me laugh.
I mean, Justin.
But what? There were times like Elf just watched Santa Claus. Watch the Santa Claus, Tim Allen.
Oh, nice. So the original, the OG.
OG.
Yeah, because there's like what, 5, 4?
Yeah.
It's like the Santa Claus one, too.
But the OG.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And it's a Christmas movie, so it's but it hasn't aged terribly. But there's a couple things where you're like, ooh, that's a little different.
Yeah.
In the Santa Claus, remember Tim Allen, Scott Calvin, he becomes Santa because he puts on the suit, and when he starts gaining weight, and he goes to work, and all of his coworkers are like, Scott, you've gotten fat, and it's like, you can't say that at work. He's ordering lunch, and he's obviously becoming bigger because he's Santa, and everybody's judging his lunch order, and it's like, you can't do that at work. So that was a little interesting back in 1993, a little different world. Scott, your weight, and it's like,
yeah, I think.
Yeah, he's Santa Claus.
Yeah, Justin, did you know that a former president makes a cameo in Home Alone 2? I don't know if you'd know that.
Right
but
up
that's
that staircase.
But no, I watched Home Alone this weekend. Didn't get to number 2, even though I do like when the Wet Bandits come back in the second one, Justin. We also, trying to think what else was on at the house.
But yeah, Elf's good.
Elf was on. Home Alone was on.
Every time I watch Elf
I think briefly Jack Frost was on.
I forget how funny it is.
No, it's up there. It's like, oh, your buddy, your dad's on the naughty list because he works at the Empire State Building. Got it.
Christmas cheer is down to 10%. That is shocking. Hilarious. All right. Hope everybody had a terrific holiday. We are back tomorrow morning. Big thanks to Tyson Alger. Thanks to producer Brendan. And we will be back tomorrow morning bright and early here on 620.